First class isn't for your kind." The words hit harder than the slap. Her cheek burned. Her phone clattered to the floor, and for a moment, the whole cabin froze. The man towering over her wasn't just a flight attendant having a bad day. He was the captain of the plane, a man in a crisp uniform with silver hair and decades of authority stitched into every thread. His voice dripped with arrogance as he leaned closer. "You're disrupting my flight, ma'am. You'll need to come with us." And just like that, a room full of strangers turned their heads away, pretending not to see the humiliation playing out 2 feet in front of them. Maya Carter had built her life on moving through rooms like this unseen, but never unprepared. At 36, she'd gone from coding in a cramped studio apartment to running a tech empire worth billions. And just a week ago, she'd signed papers making her the majority owner of Atlantic Sky, one of the country's most prestigious airlines. But she wasn't here as a CEO today. She was here as a passenger, dressed down in jeans and a hoodie, wanting to see what customers really experienced when no one knew her name. Now she knew. She'd felt the tension from the moment she sat down in 2A. The glances, the polite but clipped welcome aboard from the flight attendants, the way the man in the next seat smirked at her sneakers. She'd ordered water while others sipped champagne, and they acted like she'd broken some unspoken rule. 15 minutes went by, then 20. No water. A white man across the aisle chuckled just loud enough for her to hear. "Guess they'll let anyone up here these days. Probably cashed in a welfare card." The captain had laughed at that, an actual laugh, like it was a private joke. She unbuckled her seatbelt and stood, deciding she'd find a flight attendant herself. That's when Captain Thomas Grant stepped into her path, his voice sharp. "The seatbelt sign is on." Maya's tone was calm but firm. "I've been asking for water for 20 minutes. I'll return to my seat once I get it." His face darkened as he demanded her boarding pass, something he hadn't asked anyone else for. She showed him the app on her phone, and his lips curled like he'd just smelled something sour. "This must be a mistake," he said. "First class is for our regular passengers." The anger in her chest simmered, but she kept her voice steady. "There's no mistake. I was upgraded." "You don't belong here," he muttered. And when she lifted her phone to record the interaction just to make sure there was proof of how she was being treated, that's when his hand came down. A slap meant to knock the phone away, but it caught her face too. A gasp rippled through the cabin. Even the man who'd mocked her earlier sat back, eyes wide. Maya bent down, picked up her phone, her hand trembling slightly, though her voice was ice. "You just assaulted me." The captain straightened his shoulders like a man who'd never been challenged. "You're violating federal safety regulations. Security to the aircraft. We have a disruptive passenger in 2A. 2 uniformed officers stormed in minutes later. They didn't ask her what happened. They didn't look at her bruised cheek. One simply said, 'Ma'am, grab your belongings. You're coming with us.'" "No," she said evenly. "I have a valid ticket, and I've followed every instruction given to me. I was physically assaulted by this man when I tried to document his behavior." The taller officer sighed like she was a problem. "Let's not make this harder than it has to be." Voices rose around her. A businessman near the back called out, "I saw it." "He hit her for no reason," a woman said. "She wasn't disruptive. He was." But then another man chimed in, "Just get her off so we can leave." The cabin was split, the tension thick. Maya stayed seated, her voice calm. "I'd like to speak to someone from Atlantic Sky's management, and I'll need both of your badge numbers." That was enough to make them hesitate. The captain scowled, barking into his radio about delays costing thousands of dollars. Maya's lips curled into a quiet smile. She knew exactly how much this delay was costing. She'd seen the balance sheets. When Alexandra Reyes, the airline's COO, arrived, she found a composed black woman sitting quietly in 2A, not the disruptive passenger she'd been told about. Maya recounted everything, every snub, every racist remark, every ignored request. Alexandra's expression shifted from corporate calm to genuine alarm. The captain barged into the lounge minutes later, blustering about schedules, and when Maya calmly asked, "Captain, could you tell me what you meant by 'people like me don't belong here'?" His mask slipped. "You're twisting my words," he snapped. "You people always do." Alexandra winced. Maya just watched him, her gaze steady. Then Alexandra's phone rang. A short, hushed call, and she paled. When she hung up, her voice trembled slightly. "Ms. Carter, I didn't realize what the captain barked." Maya reached into her bag, slid a sleek black business card across the table. Alexandra picked it up, her eyes widening. "Terra Nova Group," she read softly. "CEO. Maya Carter. I own 70% of Atlantic Sky." Maya said, her tone soft but razor sharp. "As of yesterday afternoon." The room went dead silent. The captain's jaw worked his face, cycling through disbelief, anger, and fear. "That's impossible. We'd have been told." "No," Maya said simply. "You weren't supposed to know yet. I wanted to see how my airline treats its customers. Now I know." The COO looked like she'd just seen a ghost. "Captain Grant," she said, her voice all business. "Now you are suspended, effective immediately. Security will escort you out." The captain's voice cracked. "You're grounding me over this, over assaulting our majority owner." Came a new voice, Robert, the CEO, appearing on a screen. "Yes, you're grounded." The captain stormed out, but Maya wasn't done. She leaned back in her chair, eyes locked on Alexandra. "I'd like to see every discrimination complaint filed against this airline in the past 5 years. And I want a meeting with every department head before the day is over." That's how the war started. Within hours, footage of the SLAP hit social media. The hashtag Skyline SLAP trended nationwide. Passengers posted their own videos calling out the captain by name. The airline scrambled executives, sweating in conference rooms as Maya sat at the head of the table, jeans and hoodie now looking more like armor than casual wear. "Damage control," one PR manager stammered. "We can spin this, say the angle was misleading." "No," Maya said, her voice steady. "We don't spin this. We own it. We tell the truth. And then we fix the system that allowed this to happen." Alexandra sat straighter, nodding. "We've had complaints about Captain Grant before," she admitted. "They were quietly settled." "How many?" Maya asked. 3 formal ones in the past year," Alexandra said quietly. The CEO looked uncomfortable. "Thomas has been with us for 27 years. He's technically flawless." "And morally bankrupt," Maya said flatly. "That's not a pilot problem. That's a leadership problem." By evening, reporters camped outside Atlantic Sky's headquarters. Maya gave them nothing but a simple statement. "An incident occurred today on our aircraft. We are addressing it transparently. Our passengers deserve respect. Period." She didn't mention that she'd been the passenger. Not yet. Over the next days, the storm grew. The captain gave interviews to sympathetic outlets, painting himself as a victim of cancel culture. Former employees began speaking out, sharing stories of his arrogance, his racism, his unchecked power. Maya spent hours listening to ground crew, flight attendants, gate agents. She heard about promotions denied for being too ethnic, about customers who mocked staff and were defended by pilots. She wrote every word down. A week later, she stood in front of a packed auditorium full of Atlantic Sky employees. No flashy announcement, no PR gloss. Just her in a Navy suit speaking plainly. "I flew one of our planes as an ordinary passenger last week," she began. "I was slapped by a captain who believed I didn't belong in first class. And that moment taught me something. This isn't just one man's failure. This is a culture problem." Gasps rippled through the room as the realization spread. She wasn't some faceless investor. She'd been the woman in that viral video. Maya clicked to a slide showing a graph of discrimination complaints climbing year after year. "We buried these numbers. We silenced whistleblowers. We valued seniority over decency. That ends today." Some employees looked furious, others relieved. A flight attendant raised her hand. "Will we finally be protected if we speak up?" "Yes," Maya said without hesitation. "We're creating an independent ethics office. We're rewriting policies. We're putting respect above reputation." Her calm, steady voice carried more weight than any corporate speech. People believed her because she'd been in their shoes. She'd sat in that cabin. She'd felt the sting of that slap. Months passed. The captain's lawsuit crumbled under the weight of evidence, emails, recordings, testimony from colleagues who'd been afraid to speak. Maya rolled out sweeping reforms, investing millions into anti-bias training and passenger advocacy. Employees who'd once felt invisible now had a voice. And then came the day that symbolized it all. 6 months later, under a clear San Francisco sky, Maya stood at a podium beside a freshly painted Atlantic Sky jet, its silver wing logo now accented with colors representing diversity and inclusion. 6 months ago, she told the crowd, "I was told I didn't belong in first class. Today I'm the captain." She shrugged off her blazer, revealing a crisp pilot's uniform, and the crowd erupted. She'd been a licensed pilot before she was a billionaire. Now she would fly this inaugural route herself, the same one where the slap had happened. As passengers boarded, they looked around the cabin, now filled with a mix of faces, ages, and styles, all treated with the same warmth. The culture was changing. Through the glass of the terminal, she spotted him. Captain Grant. His silver hair unmistakable even from a distance. He stood alone, watching the plane he used to command taxi down the runway. Their eyes met for a heartbeat, but he turned away first. When the wheels lifted off the ground, Maya let out a slow breath. This wasn't about him anymore. It was about every person who'd been made to feel small. Every complaint ignored every standard that was really just an excuse to discriminate. As the plane leveled at cruising altitude, she looked out over the clouds, her hands steady on the controls. 6 months ago, a man had tried to put her in her place. Now she'd built a new place for everyone who'd ever been told they didn't belong. So what do you think? Should she have revealed her identity right away? Or was she right to wait and see the truth first? Have you ever watched someone be underestimated only to turn the tables? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Because sometimes the fight for respect starts with one person refusing to back down. And sometimes a single slap can shake an entire system.